nice full circle moment. He's coming to the show tonight. We're going to get to talk. It's been a long time. So anyway, it's I have roots here, so it's nice to be here. And I also, as a lifelong Cubs fan, it's good to be around the city. Oh, it's Wrigley North, I've heard stories about Ryan Braun that would curl your eyebrows. I'm just kidding. So are there any questions or anything, or anybody want to know? I'm happy to really answer anything. It doesn't have, you don't have to be, don't be all Midwestern and quiet. Yes.
How long have you been with the national tour?
How long have you been in the national tour? We started it right after, literally January 1st. We flew to Cleveland to Tech. We had been in rehearsal for a couple weeks in December. So really from the beginning of the year. It's been nicely scheduled in that we've had a couple layoffs throughout, which, it's a grind. I mean, this weekend here in Milwaukee, you may or may not know, we're doing 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday, 2 shows Sunday. That's crazy, but we're doing it. Yeah. And mostly we do 5-show weekends, 1 Friday, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday, which is still a lot. And then we travel on Monday, and then we come into, sound check on Tuesday, and so it's a bit of a hamster wheel in terms of just the physicality, the demands of it, but we've been really, really, really fortunate. The response has been amazing. It's a great group of people. We've been going to really good cities, and with those layoffs, it's been manageable in terms of getting through it without hurting, killing ourselves. Although the other day, Hanifa Wood, who normally plays Joanne, is out all this week because she twisted her ankle in where was our last city? Providence is where we just went. So things happen. So we're okay. Yes.
Do you have any idea what you're going to do when you're done traveling with the tour?
Do I have any idea what I'm going to do when I'm done traveling with the tour? One thing for sure is I'm going to take a little time off, which I feel like I've earned. There's a play that my friend Chris Henry, I've done I guess 2 readings / workshops of it. I can't remember exactly the number, but it looks like we might do another little sort of workshop-y production in the May-ish in New York, something like that. So that'll take a month or 2, and then it's looking. I'm knocking on wood. It's nothing's no T's are crossed officially, but it's looking very likely that I adapted my book into a show, and it's looking very likely that I'm going to be doing that starting in the fall. In Boston first, and then in Asia, where we did the tour in Japan and Korea, and the response was amazing. So I have a bit of a following there, and then hopefully back into New York, and then elsewhere. So if I don't know if you follow Twitter, but I do tweet. Albino Kid is my
I just
official.
joined you this morning.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't checked it in a couple hours, so. But I will certainly have updates there about once I know more details about what's happening. I'm sorry. And then there's also maybe an independent film that I might do this summer if they get their money together. But you never know. Today's climate is hard. Yes.
So do you have,
Oh, sorry.
do you have Facebook?
Do I have a Facebook? I do have a Facebook, but I really try to limit my Facebook to people I actually do know because it's a little more personal. I've used. I know MySpace is on the way out, I guess, but it's what I've been using for more general public. And then Twitter I've been using for everybody. So, sorry, yeah.
You've been all around the world with this tour, I think?
Yeah, we've been all over the States. We haven't gone to the South that much. We've sort of skirted the South. Wonder why. The closest we got into North Carolina, which flipped blue this past election. So we were in Charlotte and Durham there, and then we were in Texas, of all places. But actually did, especially we did well in Texas, Austin, Houston, Dallas. That's but we didn't, and Florida, which is its own world, as we all know. Lots of things happen in Florida. And we got to go to Tokyo for 4 weeks, which was unbelievable, and Seoul for 3 weeks. So. And then we're going to Toronto with our neighbor to the north for 2 weeks in Japan. Was there another? I thought I saw Flurry of hands. No? Yes?
What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
What am I doing for Thanksgiving? I'm still waiting to hear from my sister, who still lives down in near Joliet, where we grew up. She wasn't sure exactly what, if she might come up here, or I might go down there, so I'm honestly not sure. But if we're here, the whole company, we got access to a couple of the apartments that Milwaukee Rep uses for their actors to cook in. So we're going to have a big family dinner for us because we're family. And we have like 3 cooks who are great cooks, and then we're going to have a big feast. So it's nice. Yes, hello.
What's your dream role to play?
What's my dream role to play? One of them is the MC in Cabaret. But then, honestly, the other things are stuff that hasn't been written yet. Really, I mean, you never know what's going to come around. Like, if you'd asked me 15 years ago, is your dream role to play a filmmaker in a rock opera? I don't know, maybe. So, you never know. Yes?
What was the film process like for the movie?
The film process, I mean, there's so many aspects of it. Is there anything specifically?
Like, how did you enjoy the experience?
Love the experience. You know, making a film can sometimes be like being a tiny little cog in this huge machine. You know, you might hear actors talk about something. I don't know how much actors are really upfront about this, but there are times when you really do feel like a prop. You know, you have very little power. Theater is much more collaborative generally. And ultimately, you are the one out there on the stage, and you're walking that wire, and it's up to you and your fellow actors. And then, you know, of course, the crew, but in the moment of truth, you have to deliver. And in film, you can deliver all day on the set, and then they pick their things that they put into the movie, and they might cut you out entirely or whatever. So your degree of power or your degree of collaboration is usually much diminished. In the case of making the Rent movie, partly because we had the history we had with it, and Chris Columbus, our director, had such respect for our history and who we, you know, that's why he put us in the movie. So it was like the most open door experience that I'd ever had on a film set. The closest actually is also Dazed and Confused was similar. Rick Linklater, when he made that one, he was very much like, he wanted us to feel like we were part of the creation of it, and we were. So it was like every day was just the most pleasurable film experience I'd ever had, and it was just a crazy, I don't know if it's lucky, but it was just crazy that we got to do it in the first place. If you look through film history to adaptations of shows, you never see more than 2 or 3 at the most actors from the original cast to get to do the film. So for 6 of us to get to do it, that was crazy. I mean, that never happened. So we just were very, very fortunate. Yes?
Was it challenging for you and Adam to work with a new company?
Was it challenging for us to work with a new company?
Yeah.
Not so much, because a lot of these people, Adam and I went back in the show in '07 for 10 weeks on Broadway, which was sort of what led to this tour happening, because that had gone so well and we had really had such a good time doing it that and through the years of doing it, well, I guess it was about 2 years that we did it from off-Broadway to Broadway, we had a lot of understudies and a couple of replacements came in, so we had grown accustomed to the idea of, you know, the adaptations you make with new people. But we were also involved in helping to figure out the best group of people to put together for this tour. So we knew, like Michael McElroy, who plays Collins, he was Jesse's first replacement on Broadway, so we did it back in the day with him, and he was always amazing, a great person. So it was sort of like, it was like an all-star team kind of thing, you know. So we're very, again, I'm going to use this word a lot probably today as we talk, is fortunate. We're very lucky. Yes?
What city up till now had like the best response to the...
What city has had the best response? Huh, best response. In terms of screaming? This really surprised me. I would probably have to say LA. And the reason it surprises me is that I've been to LA a lot over the years for work, and there's times when I've gone to see friends in shows or I've gone to see shows myself. And usually the audience it's really like they're not accustomed to being in theater there because it's a movie town and a TV town. So a lot of times you're in the theater and they're like, they don't respond. So the LA audience was every show was completely sold out in this huge theater we were playing in, and they were bananas, and that was probably the best. In a different way, the Tokyo audience was also amazing. And the main way that they were different is that they're much quieter. It was the most intently focused audience I'd ever been in front of. It was almost as if, that culturally in Japan is so much about respect, and it felt like they didn't want to interrupt what was happening. They didn't want to. They wanted to hear everything. So even laughing, they would sometimes like literally cover their mouths when they laughed. So it was like, oh, and our first couple nights I was like, are they? Is this thing on? You know? But then we started to really fall in love with that feeling. They were absolutely the most intently rapt audience we'd ever played in front of. So, but it was much quiet. I mean, and before the show began, pin drop quiet, just waiting for the show. So, totally different animal, but also amazing.